Where are you right now, Ryan?
I am at the phone banks right behind Amen Corner.
Ooh. All right, set the scene for us.
Well, I just got done watching them set the pins on 11 and 12, and it's like the Army Corps of Engineers out there. There's like 17 green jacket guys, and they have rulers on the ground, and they're rolling balls by it. I mean, it looks like it's a pretty intricate way of them placing that pin placement today.
How many times have you been to Augusta before?
This is my first time.
Oh, man. Okay, so when you walk in, as soon as you walk through the gates, what's the first thing that you think, feel, smell, sense?
Well, I think that just it almost feels like there's a spiritual thing to it. Everybody talks about it, but I didn't, really understand. And then the fact that I walked in with my my dad and my two brothers, I'm pretty sure my dad had an opportunity to go because of his business in the last 3 years when I was in prison, and he kept saying no. So this is a pretty neat deal for us four to be together doing.
If I told you 3 years ago, you, your dad, and two brothers would be at Augusta, what would you have said?
I wouldn't have believed you for sure. It would have been too far fetched, but it's amazing when you start doing the next right thing, how great things happen for me. This is special. We got the opportunity to sit at 7 on Wednesday, and my dad got to see Gary Player get an ace, and that was pretty special.
So you went to
jumping up and down.
The par 3 tournament, so you saw Gary Player's hole-in-one?
Yeah, we saw Gary Player's, Lingmerth, and Zach Johnson's all on that par 3, number 7.
Where are you going to be today? Are you going to be at one hole?
Yeah, we have our chairs. It's pretty neat here. For people who don't know, you can bring your chairs and set them up first thing in the morning when the gates open at 8, and you could leave them there, and no one will move them, and no one will sit in them. So we have them set right in front by the corner of 13 and 12, the intersection, so we can see everybody putting on 11, hitting their tee shots on 12, and then hitting their tee shots on 13. So we have our chairs there. My brothers and my dad are now over watching the groups tee off 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to meet back up with them and follow them until we get to, I think they want to follow Rory for a few holes for sure.
I usually set up at 16, the left-hand portion of the green. I have a friend and he's been doing it for 30 years, where he gets in there and sets up 2 chairs, and you're right, nobody bothers them. You can come back 2 hours later, and those chairs are still there. There's nobody seated in them. Nobody's moved them or anything. Pretty incredible.
It is, the integrity, I think, of it. And I think anybody who plays golf, you learn a lot about a person when you play golf with somebody or around a golf course. It's about calling penalties on yourself, so it's important. We got out yesterday, in fact, all 4 of us, we played a round at a club yesterday morning, and we played a little 2-man best ball scramble between my middle brother and I against my dad and my baby brother. And it took 20 holes, but we were still tied after 20 holes, and my dad just said, okay, we're done. We're going home now.
We're talking to Ryan Leaf, joining us from Augusta, Dan Patrick Show. Ryan joined us at the Super Bowl, and the reaction was pretty incredible. I think people listening to you and just listening to your story, what you've been through, and granted, you take full responsibility for it, but you were in prison for a few years, and I thought Johnny Manziel could learn something from you, or at least, and you said, look, I'd talk to Johnny Manziel. Did you hear from Johnny Manziel, reach out to Johnny Manziel? I
did, and when it comes to any of this stuff, when the person's ready, the person's ready. And for me, it simply was my most humble. I had to be humbled to the point where I woke up on a prison floor. Now, I hope when I speak or tell my story that it helps people not to get to that point, but it truly has to be somebody's own rock bottom until they accept it. And for me, it took the very bottom for me. So hopefully, hopefully people will reach out to help. I have, and he'll accept it at some point, and because I think he could have an unbelievably promising career.
But you have to realize you've hit rock bottom. He may not know that this is rock bottom, or maybe it's not, before he reaches out.
Yeah, true. I mean, I thought, the first time getting arrested in Texas and dealing with all that stuff, was bottom for me. But it simply isn't. And then there's just something that comes with that acceptance. Why while in prison, when there were more drugs everywhere than I ever could find when I was out on the streets, did I choose not to use? It would have been the easiest form of it for me because I was so in a depressive state, but I didn't. I think there's just that acceptance and that surrender that happens eventually. Either you get it or you don't. And the only thing I can do now is just, continue to be a service and tell my story. And then if those who listen choose to follow that path. I know a young man from Montana, after seeing your show up at the Super Bowl, went to treatment, and he just reached out to my family this week and wanted to call and say thanks. So from your show that day, so that's just great news.
Let me go back to what you just said. It was easier to get drugs in prison if you wanted them than it was when you weren't in prison.
Yeah, I mean it was rampant in there.
Whatever you wanted.
Pretty much. Pills, which was my thing too. Those were really prevalent. I mean, the guards would bring them in. I was always worried. That was my biggest worry, that they'd toss my cell one day and plant stuff on me, and I get stuck there for longer and longer. So you always had to kind of toe the line with them. And one of my friends told me, if you ever want to see the worst people in the world, go to a prison at shift change. And that was kind of a running joke there, but. It is what it is. I just was in a place there where I just kind of said, I'm done. And when somebody gets to that point, they get to that point. And it's usually a huge transformation, for sure.
Could you watch sports in prison?
Yeah, I watched sports all the time. I mean, I had TV at the end of my bed there. And I watched the Masters 2 years ago when Jordan took second. And he was kind of my guy. Going into it, his first one, I had told my parents, I'm like, yeah, this is the guy I like. And sure enough, he played really well and finished second. So last year, I was back down in California at that time and really got to see his performance. That was pretty amazing. And again, he steps out first round and does something similar again, and everybody's looking up at him.
I don't know how odd this is. You're at a payphone, bank of phones there. I don't know if anybody's listening to your conversation and probably going, what the heck is he talking about? Prison and pills and Johnny Manziel, flag placements. So thank you.
Well, I think I've got a couple looks. And,
how are the conditions down there since you're our Masters correspondent?
Well, the conditions today are beautiful. The wind hasn't picked up yet. The clouds have moved out, and it's gotten fairly sunny, fairly quick, and warmed up. So I assume the players that are teeing off early are going to have a better chance of posting some better scores. This afternoon, that wind's supposed to pick up around 3 or 4, and it just wreaks havoc with where the ball's going to go. Because you can look at the hole, and it looks like the wind's just completely behind your back, and when you get up on the green, it's right in your face, so it's tough for sure.
You got to work on your whispery golf voice, though, if you're going to do it, right?
I don't have the whispery golf voice.
Yeah, you got to work. That's okay right there, but it's got to be more down like this and just say.
Yeah.
It's not good for a quarterback to have a whispery voice, but you're there at Augusta. Tradition, unlike any other.
My playing partners in L.A., whenever a wayward shot goes, I'm the guy that yells 4 because it resonates through the whole.
You're like Andrew Luck at the line of scrimmage. When he yells out the signals.
Yeah, it's loud and it's booming for sure.
Don't do it now.
No. My brothers. I've left that up to my middle brother. He tends to tell it. He had a great one on Wednesday. When Bernhard Langer came by, he jumped up and started clapping and yelled out, "Feel the burn!" And everybody really broke up laughing pretty hard at that one around us. So
don't yell out "Baba Booey" or "Get in the hole" either.
Oh God,
okay?
No! Who does that? My brother wants to yell "Get in the hole," and I said, "I won't be sitting next to you if you do that."
He might not be seated next to you. But it might be the other way around. They'll say, "Excuse me, come here, young man." Or You're leaving. Hey, tell your dad I said hello, and
yes, sir.
Thank you for the phone call.
Oh, my pleasure. You guys have enjoy the rounds.
We will. Thank you, Ryan.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.